During the brutal winters of the Eastern Front and the Ardennes, frostbite and hypothermia were as lethal as enemy fire. Soldiers huddled in trenches where the ground itself seemed frozen solid, and, conventional bedding or makeshift shelters offered little protection against the relentless cold. Yet, amidst this misery, military engineers and frontline innovators developed a frost-resistant shelter lining that transformed freezing trenches into survivable spaces. The secret wasn't hidden in some exotic material. It was a clever combination of insulation, moisture control, and simple layering techniques that, honestly, any survivalist camper or historian can recreate today. The lining was low-cost, field-serviceable, and astonishingly effective, allowing soldiers to survive nights in conditions that would have crippled most unprepared men. The engineers realized that insulation alone wasn't enough to stop the cold. Many modern attempts at winter shelter focus on adding bulky insulation, but World War II engineers discovered that the real enemy was not just temperature, it was moisture. Cold ground and melting snow would saturate bedding and clothing, rapidly conducting heat away from the body. The frost-resistant lining was designed to provide both thermal insulation and a moisture barrier, creating a dry microclimate even in saturated trenches. Soldiers used a combination of materials that were readily available: burlap, straw, felt, and oiled canvas. Each component played a role. Burlap and felt trapped warm air. Straw provided additional cushioning and thermal resistance, and oiled canvas kept moisture at bay. Today, recreating this approach is straightforward for winter shelters, cold-weather tents, or emergency bunkers. Begin with a durable fabric as the base layer, then build in insulation using natural or synthetic materials. Press each layer snugly, but not tightly, against the walls and floor of the shelter, ensuring that it retains warmth while allowing moisture to escape. It wasn't just about the materials used, it was about how they were combined. Soldiers learned that alternating layers of absorbent and moisture-resistant materials created the most effective barrier against cold. Felt or wool next to the ground absorbed residual dampness, while straw or other loose insulation trapped air pockets that acted as natural thermal blankets. Oiled canvas as the outermost layer sealed in warmth and kept wet conditions outside. The lining functioned like a primitive modern sleeping pad combined with a moisture-proof floor mat, but it was lightweight, field-repairable, and adaptable to uneven trench floors. For practical application today, experiment with alternating layers of insulating materials and moisture-resistant barriers. In a tent or temporary shelter, placing a thick felt layer under a plastic or waxed canvas sheet can, dramatically reduce heat loss and prevent condensation from chilling occupants overnight. Now, one critical detail that's so often overlooked in historical accounts is the treatment of fabrics. Canvas or burlap was soaked in boiled linseed oil or light wax mixtures, which would penetrate the fibres and create a flexible, water-resistant barrier. Unlike a simple surface coating that could crack or peel, this method bonded with the fibres, maintaining its effectiveness even under repeated use, and honestly, some pretty harsh freezing conditions. Soldiers could repair small tears or worn spots by reheating and rubbing in more oil or wax, making sure the lining stayed durable throughout the campaign. These days, modern survivalists can replicate this process by treating canvas or heavy fabrics with natural oils and waxes. Just warm the material gently, rub in the mixture, and allow it to cure slowly in a well-ventilated area. The lining also emphasized airflow to prevent condensation and ice buildup. One of the greatest threats in those frozen trenches wasn't just the cold, it was frost accumulating inside the shelter itself. Engineers soon discovered that even the best insulation could fail if air stagnated. The frost-resistant lining was designed to allow minimal but consistent airflow, which prevented moisture from condensing and freezing inside. For modern use, it's important to ensure that even well-insulated shelters have a bit of ventilation to let damp air escape. In tents or temporary winter shelters, lifting one corner slightly or leaving small vents near the floor or roof can prevent condensation without sacrificing thermal efficiency. This World War II frost-resistant shelter lining, well, it really proves that ingenuity often outperforms modern gear. What makes this lining so remarkable is that it relied on accessible materials, simple treatments, and clever assembly, rather than synthetic fibers or high-tech solutions. Soldiers in freezing conditions managed to survive nights on frozen ground using techniques that honestly are still applicable to winter camping, bushcraft and emergency preparedness today. The principles are timeless. Moisture control, layered insulation, air management and field repairability. By studying these historical solutions, modern enthusiasts can learn how to create effective cold-weather shelters using natural materials and methods that have truly stood the test of time. Whether it's for historical reenactments, backyard winter survival drills, or off-grid expeditions, recreating the World War II frost-resistant shelter lining offers a hands-on lesson in practical ingenuity and historical problem-solving. It really demonstrates how thoughtful design, careful observation, and just a bit of preparation can turn deadly conditions into survivable ones. If you want more lost military survival tricks, historical engineering insights, and practical wilderness strategies that still work today, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom, share this video with fellow history and survival enthusiasts, and help keep these invaluable skills alive for future generations.